Good morning. It is Ursula here. I'm trying to make daily videos like Bones is, to minimal success, but I'm trying, okay? Today, I'm going to be talking about visualizing your comic buffer because I wrote this script like months ago. So I was like, dang, I should really use this. So here we go. First off, what the heck is a buffer? What is a comic buffer? Do you like clean your floors and make them shiny? No, that's a stupid joke. A comic buffer is a stockpile of completed pages, essentially. If you are updating your comic online, on Webtoon, your own site, Comic Fury, whatever, having pages that are already complete before, like well before they need to go up online, is good for you, and it is called a buffer. It gives you grace time when you get super busy, or you get sick, or you need to spend some extra time on a comic page. Having a buffer is really, really good. In fact, Bones and I created an event. Our first one happened this past November, and our next one could be coming this upcoming November. The Comic Crunch Buffer Before the Break, where we try to create a buffer for a full year of posting your comic within 1 month. And it's crazy and it's fun. You should join us, follow the channel, and we'll tell you about it in October so you can get ready for it in November. But anyways, that's what a buffer is. A buffer is a stockpile of pages so that you can take time off, essentially. Okay, so now we're going to talk about visualizing your buffer. And by that I just mean like tracking your comic pages. And I guess these stuff, it doesn't have to be for your buffer. It could just be tracking your comic pages as you finish them, even if you're posting week to week. Or if you're planning to not post online, self-publish it in a book, something like that. This can also work. But how do you visualize it? I'm also going to be calling it a buffer for the rest of the video. How do you visualize it, and why is that important? So for one, visualizing it, like making a little graph or a chart, seeing your progress as you complete it, it's really satisfying. And it's a very simple way to motivate yourself because, for one, you can set a deadline for it, which is helpful if you're creating a chart, because then you can see your you have like a little line graph, and the one line is like, here's how many pages you need to do a day to hit your goal. And the other little graph is how many pages you make, and it makes a little up and down, and it's so good and cute. So yeah, so you can have deadlines, or if you don't have a deadline, you can still just track where you are. And it's great because comics take a long time, and it's really helpful to understand like what you have completed and how much you have left to do, simply because it may feel like you're making zero progress as you work on your comic. A single page, from like writing it to thumbnailing, sketching, or penciling, inking, coloring, adding text, finishing touches, final sound effects, like it's a lot of steps and they can all take a long time. So understanding where you are in your progress can be really, really helpful. And in fact, I find it's really helpful when you are tracking your buffer and your pages to break down what you track based in parts rather than completed pages. I usually do the art side, so Bones is the writer. He's also been doing colorist stuff. So what I typically do with the art side is I'll break things down into parts. So a thumbnail is a part, a pencil is a part, inking is a part, coloring is a part, adding speech bubbles is a part. I even have a part for like finishing touches, which is where like I go through and I make sure every panel looks good. I haven't missed anything. I might add in like sound effects or little finishing touches, particle effects or something, whatever I need. That's like a finishing touch is usually what I call it. And then if I was also scripting, I'd probably have like outline as a part. I'd probably have script as a part. And you can even have like posting the comic online as a part, if you want to track that as well. Having each part broken down like that is really helpful to essentially have progress completed every day, if not every couple days, because all of these parts take time. In fact, like just penciling one page can take multiple days depending on how much time I have in a day to work on it. So being able to track just that piece and feel like I'm making progress really, really helps. Now this will inflate your numbers if you're just using like one chart, say, to like see how many parts you're completing across your deadline. You know, it can go from like one page can be like 10 parts. So it will inflate your numbers. So sometimes I'll have two charts kind of running where I'll have like completed pages and then completed parts, and the parts is bigger, but it's very motivating. But because comics take so long, it's really helpful to understand like how much of the pie is complete in all these little pieces that need to be done. Because if I just tracked page by page, I probably, and this is because I do tend to work in batches where I'll sit down and I'll pick one part. So I'll do pencils, say, and I'll do like 10 to 20 pencils in a month. I'll work in a batch. That just keeps me like focused. I don't have to like switch between very different ways of working. That's just what works for me. But if I tracked like when I finished a page, like I couldn't track anything I did that month because it would just be pencils on 20 pages. It wouldn't be completing 20 pages. Breaking it down into parts and then visualizing that with charts is really motivating, very satisfying, and keeps you on track. Because then, again, if you're working to a deadline, you can track how many you need to do. So that is why visualizing your buffer is really helpful, and there's some of my tips on what you should be visualizing, if that makes sense. So now that I've explained what the heck a buffer is, why you should visualize your buffer, what are some helpful ways to track your buffer? So there's probably lots of ways to do it, but I'm just going to talk about my favorites, because I haven't tried everything. I've tried a lot, but I haven't tried everything, and I'm just going to tell you about the ones I like, and maybe you'll like them too, I hope. What I've started using instead, which I love, is a site called TrackBear. And it's so cute. I love TrackBear. Their branding is adorable. It seems like it's a small team that's created it. And I found it through a recommendation of like alternatives to the NaNoWriMo site for tracking your work. And I've stuck with it, and it's really cute, and I like it. So what does it offer? TrackBear, you can track pages, you can track words written, you can track time you've worked. It has lots of options. It's not just for tracking comics. You can also track writing. You can track all sorts of things, and it's very customizable. You create projects. You can create one for every comic. You could even create one for every like part of your comic. It's very customizable. You can add little pictures, so you can put on your little cover for your comic for each project. And then once you have your projects created, and you can honestly track your progress in the projects section, because it'll show you, it creates a little chart that changes every time you update it. So you could just track your progress there. But if you want to track your progress against like a deadline, you can create goals. And they allow you to track how much you do in any amount of time you set. Again, it's very customizable. You can track it month to month. That's usually what I do. I'll have a goal every month and I'll just track that. But you could track it for a whole year. You could track it for like a season, like super customizable. And then you get progress in both your project section and in your goals section. And the goals can close on like a certain date. And the other nice thing about the goals is that you can feed multiple projects into them, which is something you couldn't do on NaNoWriMo. You'd basically track like one progress or one project and your progress in it. With TrackBear, you could say you're working on like 3 different comics. You could have them feed all into like a single goal that you're working on this month. You can track multiple things. I don't know if it allows you to track, say you have one project that's tracked by pages and one that's tracked by word count. I haven't tested it. It might be able to feed into that together, but I usually will feed just pages into things because I'm usually just working on pages. But yeah, but super customizable. I really enjoy that part of it. It also will tell you like your overall stats. Like it tells you how many words you've written to date, how many pages you've completed to date. It shows you like which days you've worked, you've inputted the most data on, kind of thing. And you can also create leaderboards where you can compete with friends. So you and your friends can track each other's progress, and it's really fun. Why do I love it? It's easy to use, the design is super simple, and I love a chart. I think I've talked about all the reasons I love it so far. But yeah, it's really, really great, really, really cute. If you have the money, I would throw some coin at the creators of it because it's a nice site. And it's great. I love TrackBear. That's my number one suggestion for tracking your work. Now, the second best thing, if you don't want to be sharing your data, this stuff, with a company, which is totally understandable, some people just don't like that. You want to do it on your own, I would recommend using a spreadsheet. Now, again, you can use like Google Sheets, you could use Excel, you could use Numbers, which is the Mac OS one. You can use anything to make a spreadsheet. And what is great about using a spreadsheet? You can customize everything. You control what charts you put out. You can make pie charts, bar graphs, line graphs, whatever you want. And you can put out multiple versions based on the same data set. You can even just have a running cell chart, like a table in your spreadsheet where you just track everything. You can color coordinate it. You could create like a little status bar in your spreadsheet saying if a page is complete or in progress or haven't started. It's a spreadsheet. It's incredibly customizable. Now, obviously this stuff takes time to set up, and you'd have to look into like what you want to do. The way I've typically used spreadsheets is I'll have like a running table where I put in all my data, and I'll have like the page name is usually the number, like page 20, page 21, etc. I'll have a number it's usually a binary. It's like if I've completed it or not. You could also use like a status or something like complete, not complete. And then sometimes I'll put like comments or like the level that it's completed, and that's more like for me. And then the data that feeds into the chart is usually just that binary number, that complete or not complete. And then I'll usually use a spreadsheet to create a pie chart where as I complete pages, the piece of pie gets bigger. And that's really fun. It's you can get super, super in depth with it. I never have. I tend to like something like TrackBear, where I can just put in all the numbers and the program makes it cute for me. But obviously the level of customization, the level of formatting options is really great for tracking things in a spreadsheet. It does keep it very private to yourself as well. And why do I love a spreadsheet? I love it because, for one, it's how I've tracked things in the past. Before I had some of these tools that are offered online, it's really satisfying to fill up a chart. We love a chart. And yeah, it does take time to set up, but there's a lot you can do with it. I find I haven't used them because it does take so much maintenance to like keep them up, where it might just be an ADHD thing, but I usually fall off using them, whereas like I've had more success with a system someone else has set up. And with spreadsheets, you can also find templates online. I don't have any here, but I'm sure you can find them with a quick Google, which is so helpful of me to say, but I don't have any good templates to put out. But if you yourself have made a cute spreadsheet, I don't think you can share them in the chat directly, but you can leave a comment on what spreadsheets you've enjoyed using, and people can find them on their own. Next, I think the last one that I've used consistently or used often and used in the past, and I even sometimes do them like in small ways. But the last thing I could recommend as something I've used to track my buffer is doing it by hand. So handwritten charts or tables. And again, same as using a spreadsheet. It's private. It's incredibly customizable. You control everything. You can create your own charts where you fill them in with like cute markers and colors or pencil crayons. You can do little pixel graphs where you fill in a little square every time you finish a page. That's one I've used in the past when I was in high school. You can create your own line charts, etc. You can have a checklist where you cross things off or check mark things. It takes time to set up. It's very manual, obviously, to set up, but you can still find like templates and recommendations that people have. You can even print off things that people have made. People have made like habit trackers. That's one to look at that you could then customize to like create like a comic tracker. And if you prefer analog things, like you have a journal or you just prefer things on paper, I think this is just a great way to track your comic and your buffer. So why do I love it? I started making comics using hand-drawn progress charts. It was like a contract Bones and I made when we first started. We were like 17, and we made this little contract where we were like, I will complete 50 comic pages by X date so that we could like post it online and start our webcomic career. And then I had a little chart. It was basically like a pixel chart. So like I drew it like 50 squares, and every time I finished a page, I'd like color in one of the squares until it reached the top. And it was so fun, and it was very motivating. I'm very fond of it because it was like the first thing I ever did. And I just used lined paper. I didn't have anything fancy. Today, I love bullet journaling. I like making cute charts in my journal. I do things like habit tracking, reading journals and stuff. I just find it really relaxing and helpful. And sometimes I will put my comic work in there. I usually use my bullet journal for like reminders, like I'll write down like, here's all the designs I need to make this month. Here's how many pages I need to do. But you could totally go in and make your own little visual tracker in your bullet journal. And it is time consuming, but sometimes that's nice. Sometimes that's very like mindful and fun to do. So if you like doing that, make a little handwritten chart. Now, some more honorable mentions, kind of like the NaNoWriMo site. These are ones that I've used, but I haven't stuck with. And these would just be like project management software. So like, think like Asana or like Monday. I think ClickUp is one. The ones I've used the most, one would be Trello. So this is typically, it might have changed. It's been a while since I've used it, but it's typically like a Kanban board. So it's just like a bunch of columns. You have like to do, in progress, complete. I think that's like the bare minimum one. And you put a bunch of cards in. This could be like each of your pages. This could be like a whole project. And then you just move them through the columns as you start working on them. So to do, you have all your pages. Once you start working on one, you put it in progress. And when it's done, you put it in complete. And Trello has a lot of features. Unfortunately, I think a lot of them are behind a paywall now. But it does still have features where you can track, like, if you're working with multiple people, you can all have accounts on it and kind of track the same board. You can put checklists in it, so you could have one page and have a checklist within that card that says, like, if you've scripted it, you've done your pencils, inking, etc. You can put due dates on it. So it is pretty customizable. It's very simple. Give it a try if you like it. Trello does have free stuff, like a free account option, but a lot of like the really in-depth features I think are behind a paywall. So I've used Trello. It's one that I haven't stuck with. I've used it more kind of like in my day job professional life where I've been working with like a big team of people and we all need to track things, but it's still useful. A Kanban board is nice. And the other honorable mention that I've used is Notion. So Notion is like a note-taking program / app that's very versatile. A lot of people just use it for like note-taking, but you can make charts, you can make Kanban boards, you can make timelines, and the design is very minimal, which can make it a bit more, like it can be a bit simpler to set up than like a spreadsheet because it does have some templates you can just pull from, but it does kind of feel like a spreadsheet to me. It does take a lot of like manual setup. There are some limitations. One thing I don't love about Notion is that it does try to like stick AI and everything, but you kind of get that with like every app these days. They're all trying to shove AI into things. But I have used Notion for note-taking, and I have used it to track comic pages. I mostly use it as like a Kanban board. I think I used it for like tracking videos for a while where I was tracking like what we'd like recorded and written and stuff. But anyways, again, very versatile, pretty easy to set up. Give Notion a try, see if you like it. And you can also, again, have multiple people. If you're working with like a team of creators, you can put multiple people in and track the same board. Oh my god, wait! I forgot about one. This is another honorable mention. It is called My Write Club. I used it for quite a while. The My Write Club, it's like a web app. I think it's still in beta. But it is a very simple chart that you can just plug things into. I think it's, again, versatile, kind of like TrackBear, where you can put in pages, you can put in words, you can put in time, and it just gives you a very simple chart. I think your projects and your goals, where TrackBear has them separate, I think My Write Club has them the same, so you just like, you have your project, you set a deadline, and then you kind of like work within that, and it closes when the deadline passes. So it's a very simplified version of TrackBear. And the great thing about My Write Club, and this is how I used it, is you are supposed to kind of use it in a group. So you and your friends each have an account, and then you can follow each other and you can see each other's progress. It even like sends you a little email when your friend updates their chart. So while you can't all work on the same project, you can all kind of work side by side and see each other's progress. So it's supposed to work like a little writing group, I think is how it was pitched to me originally. So it can be really fun. It's very simple. You can use it on your own as well. So yeah, My Write Club is also good. Give it a try. So that's it. That's my advice on creating your buffer for your comic. Visualizing it is a lot of fun. It's something I personally find satisfying and motivating. And in the past, when I used spreadsheets and handwritten versions, I maybe spent a little too much time making cute little charts and not using them, just because I find making charts is really fun. And I've had a lot more success with like getting my stuff done and tracking it by using an app like TrackBear. Personally, I like making bar go up. It feels good. It is helpful. And hopefully this has been helpful for you too, with tracking your progress. Good luck out there. Making a comic is hard. It takes a long time, but we're here to support each other, and I hope you get lots of comic pages done. Let me know if you're listening, if you have any questions about making comics, about art and stuff. I can talk about art, not really writing. A little bit about writing, but Bones is our writing expert, so ask him. But let me know if you have any art questions. That's it. Goodbye!